What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Shooting the Shift. That's Bryn.
Oh,
That's Matt.
I make financially stupid decisions.
He does make stupidly financial decisions.
Stupidly financial. Such
Yes.
finance, Matt.
Stonks, Matthew. Stonks.
Yes, stunts.
This is the 100th video we've ever uploaded to the channel. I know. It's
I
amazing.
feel like I should have a sign that says 100.
He's gonna write a sign that says 100.
It's probably gonna be backwards because of webcams and mirroring and stuff. But there you go.
Oh, there you go. Special 100 sign from Matt.
Yeah.
So what we're going to talk about this episode?
Sorry, I'm going to put it away.
What are you eating?
I've got some cherry Tic Tacs, and as it turns out, they're the best thing ever made.
Slightly off topic before we start. If you look on Thingiverse, there's a Tic Tac shooter on the first page.
Oh my god, I got a big pack as well.
Yeah.
So, for our 100th episode, Bryn is going to print us Tic Tac shooters, and when Milton's about next and we're all together, we're going to shoot him with them because he wasn't here to know about the plan.
Unless he watches this on the air date.
Really important thing, Milton never watches the podcast because he hates seeing himself on telly.
But
He's not here.
I don't think he's going to watch it. We'll find out next week. Oh, we won't find out next week, in fact, because next week, I can already tell you all what the topic's going to be. We're going to be doing a ranking of the Fast and Furious films next week, because I'm actually going to be at Modified Nationals filming a Car Girls podcast special with some of the ladies from Modified Girls. Which probably would have been a slightly better 100th episode than this, but...
This is what you stuck with now.
Yeah, this is what you got, so...
If only I'd have been procrastinating for 1 week longer about starting this podcast. So coming up this week from the channel, you've got Birmingham Wheels Drift Day. Actually going to do that this week. You've got...
Keep threatening it.
You may have another mystery box unboxing because I went and picked one up from Auto Bright. Well, they had those on offer. And quick sneak peek of the trophies that I've acquired that I still need to label up for Modified Nationals for us to give out on the Modified Girls stand. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I am giving away genuine, maybe not so genuine, gold bars.
So those gold bars look really light. Or you've just been working out.
That's the arm curls, mate.
Yeah, is that what you've been using instead of weights?
That's what I've been. Yeah, you know that much. You know how you get a poor salary from me. The reason is because it's all gone into my gold bar arm curls.
You're gonna fill them with sand.
They're meant to be doorstops. Really entertainingly. And I'm pretty sure that ain't stopping any kind of door.
No, I don't think so.
What kind of low-budget Instagram rapper bullshit is that doorstop?
Shiny.
I don't know, but by the time we're done, it is going to have some writing down the side in my magical handwriting, just to make it a trophy. That's how I'm doing it this year.
His handwriting actually looks exactly like all of the Violent Running font. Shopping lists are just the coolest looking thing.
And that's why I get him to write my shopping list every week.
What else do we need? Milk!
Interestingly not, my handwriting has far more in common with a spider that's dipped all 8 of its legs in ink and ran across a page. So anyway, 100th episode. 4 minutes in and we've managed to not talk about cars at all. So the first thing I think is Matt has officially bought his 100th hunk of junk.
Yeah, well, not everybody knows about this yet, so...
Well, now they do.
All I know is that he's got a car and it's coming from far away.
Yeah. It might be a stupid.
Do you even know what it is?
Yes.
No, I mean
Bryn doesn't.
Does he want it to be a surprise? Is that why he's cagey?
Well, let's find out if Bryn can guess what you've got. So Bryn has to ask, but Bryn's not allowed to ask you questions. He's only allowed to ask me questions.
Can I have clues?
You can have clues, but it's like the yes/no game. So you can ask me
20
questions.
questions.
Yeah, you got 20 questions, and I'm the one that's got to answer them, just to make it more entertaining. I know what it is.
Okay. Is it a normal people car?
Yes.
Is it older than the year 2000?
No.
Is it European?
No.
Is
You
it?
expect me to buy a European car?
Yeah, for some reason my mind just went to Volvo. It's got to be a Volvo. Let's just find out if it's a Volvo. Is it Japanese?
No. But also yes.
Yes.
No, it's not. It's not, Matt, and you know it's not.
Is it basically a Mondeo with a different badge?
No.
Yes.
No.
Is it a Jaguar?
No.
No.
Okay.
How is a Jaguar Japanese and American at the same time?
Jaguar a Mondeo.
Yeah, Jaguar is a Mondeo. That's where I fixated on with that. Okay, is it a Mazda?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a Mondeo and it's a Mazda. So he's bought another Mazda 6?
No.
No, because it's not a Mondeo.
It's not a Mondeo, but
it's got something in common with a Mondeo.
Is it an estate?
No.
No.
Does it have 4 people doors?
No.
So it's a 2-door Mazda that's not a Mondeo.
But has something in common with a Mondeo.
But it's a normal people car.
Yeah.
Kind of.
No, it is.
Is it a hatchback?
No.
They didn't make anything else, people.
It depends on your definition of normal people car. That might be what's throwing you off.
Yeah, you've got to remember it's what... I answered that, so it's what I count as normal people.
But it's newer than the year 2000.
Yes.
So I won't know what it is anyway.
You will know what it is.
Is it an MPS edition?
No.
Right, if it's not a Mazda Bongo, then I have no idea.
I don't think they made them past 2000.
I'll give you... Bryn, I am not actually steering you astray when I say it has something in common with a Mondeo.
Yeah, but I don't know what else it would have in common with a Mondeo.
I mean, you kind of are, but you're also kind of not.
Does its model just be a number?
No.
No.
What else is there? He's bought another MX-5.
Yes.
He's bought an NC MX-5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Got there eventually.
Nice, what colour?
Silver.
Silver. Dark or the light silver?
The light silver.
Ah, what, you painting it?
Might do. It was cheap. And the bodywork's not that good, so I may paint it.
Montana cans. And
Faded pink. Faded pink.
Yeah.
I've got to stay on brand.
Not Montana cans. Oh, no, wait, you can't get the cans that I always recommend for people at the moment. Iron Lac. Iron Lac is better graffiti paint.
A few moments later.
I think, you know, and I think that's the other thing about it. Like, I've always had fun hanging out with you lot. Apart from that little brief bit then when we described drift tracks. But, like, it's one of them things. Like, I now enjoy... I would probably say I enjoy the pit lane more than I enjoy being out on track.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so. You kind of, the pit lane is where you meet friends and people, and that's where you make the friends and the relationships.
Yeah.
Because as I've mentioned before, when I first met Milton, it was to help me fix my car. And then obviously I was greatly appreciative of that. And we've been friends ever since. And if my car hadn't broken, I probably wouldn't have gone and sought him out to get him to help me fix my car. And that's what you get. It's not just in like drift pit lanes, it's in track pit lanes as well. And it's the people you meet makes this is why we're into cars. I think if we met the same people and it was under a different hobby, we'd still have the same relationships.
I don't, because I like cars because Bam go fast.
Well, that helps. That's part of it. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't have the friends and the relationships, a lot of these shows I wouldn't go to, because I go to them to be with the people that I like. That's why we went to Japfest the other year. Like, I think we took Nicole's stock MX-5 with us.
Yep.
And a lot of us were in stock cars and stuff like that, and you just don't care because you're going to spend the day with the people that you like and go and look at other cars.
That's the right way to be. There's this really worrying trend that I've spotted again and again recently. It's people going, "My car's not show ready," and I sit there and I'm like,
show ready.
Yeah, this is my thing. Like, it's this whole thing about it always being about clout, and I sit there and I go, "Has it got 4 wheels? Has it got an MOT? Does it run? Will it get you there? Will it get you home? It's ready."
Yeah. The last show I went to, I took my Mazda 6 Estate diesel. I mean, it's lowered and it's got wheels on it.
He did, and we hid it. We did hide it away from the stand as well.
Yeah, but I still went because I wanted to spend the day with you guys.
Oh no, it's very sweet.
And if you've got the right kind of friends, it doesn't even necessarily need to run. No. I've been to a car show before in a car with no gearbox in it because they wanted my car to be as a uni one. Yeah. And they wanted all the cars from the car club, and it was half finished. So we dragged it down with a Land Rover.
I did that 2018, I think it was, when MX-5 was at that big estate that I can't remember the name of. They had an owners club meeting in 1 October. And
I remember that.
Yeah, because I had my supercharged car and I took that down on my trailer.
I remember that because I got kicked out as I pulled in.
What did you do?
I think Bryn's already worked out what I did. It had a gravel driveway, Matthew.
Yes.
You remember. There was less gravel in the driveway when I was done than there was when I parked up where I was.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that, Brent?
Said, what a goon. Look at you giving the car scene a bad reputation.
I mean, I've done far worse than that in my time.
Yeah.
We worked this out. There was a point that's just near where Matt used to live, right? That I was driving past and I literally phoned Matt and went, "I used to meet the boys like literally 10 yards from your house." And all he said to me was, "Thanks for the injunction, mate."
Yeah.
I you know, like, it's a fun thing, and I think I actually like. I'm gonna dare to say something here. I think there's a lot of people who complain unnecessarily about the car scene. I think there's a lot of people who complain about engine revving in a supermarket car park at like 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, right?
I think the other thing with that is if you ask a lot of regular people, what they know of the car scene is people in Tesco car parks at 10 o'clock at night revving their engines. Because that's all they've ever seen.
But I don't think people in the car park at 10 o'clock at night revving their engines is necessarily a bad thing. There's a time and a place for it. It's not outside your neighbour's house at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday night. But then the other side of that is at 3 a.m. in Nottingham on any given Saturday night, I can guarantee I've caused probably more noise and trouble than I've ever done in a car in a Tesco car park at 10 o'clock on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Because I've been about £100 deep into getting drunk.
But people don't see that part of it. I think it's just, it's hard to describe because people just have this, for some reason, drinking is okay. And people who don't drink are the ones that are weird.
Yeah.
And I think that's unfair.
I mean, it's not because you don't drink, but...
No, but why is this stigma? Why is... We're kind of getting off topic, but it's kind of the similar thing is, why is there this stigma of you're weird because you don't drink?
I don't actually have an answer to that.
You know,
the two people that drink are stumped here, and
yeah, but this is my point. So there's a stigma around people who don't drink, and for some reason, socially, drinking is perfectly acceptable, despite the fact that alcohol itself, as a whole, is worse for you and the country and the surrounding areas and the NHS and A&E and all the rest of it than driving fast on a country road at night.
Here's the thing. Here's how I look at this. I think the biggest problem with cars as people looking at cars, as you say, Bam, there's a time and a place for everything. The problem is there isn't really a place for cars apart from car shows, which are largely not looked down upon. You go to the Japfest and stuff. No, not many people are really complaining about that. The other thing is is all of these other activities that people do, that their hobbies, if they're loud, they're usually also indoors. If you drink, you go to a pub. You go out clubbing, you're in a club. It's all indoors. It's very hard to have a large car meet indoors. And there are very few places, it's not like a skate park where there's a specific spot out of the way that you can just go to. So you have this problem that wherever you go, you're going to cause people a problem because you're outside at night and they're going to hear you.
I think there's a couple of other points to raise there. Like, one of the bigger problems that come with these big organized car shows like Japfest is people leaving the show. Because they've been at a show all day, they might have been on track, they've been watching people on track, they've been watching drifting, and they get all excited because they think they can do that or whatever, and then they start doing stupid stuff on the way home and driving not stupidly, exuberantly on the way home. But the other point to raise is the way that cars is a weird hobby in terms of how it's taken part. So, for example, if you play tennis as a hobby, you drive your normal car over to the tennis courts and you play tennis. And you don't find normal people trying to go around their normal daily business at the tennis courts. So you're away from everybody else. And this is what you get with shows like Japfest. You're at the racetrack and you're not in anybody's way. But if you're trying to meet people in public and that, you're getting in people's way when they're doing their normal commuting and they just want to get from A to B or go to the shops and do their shopping because the car is on the road with everybody else doing their normal thing.
But are we getting in their way or are they getting in our way?
We're getting in their way. We're
getting in there.
There goes me trying to make a philosophical point.
No, we're definitely getting in the way, and I think that's.
We're gonna get all beautifully Russell Brand and shit, but apparently I'm not allowed to because we're getting in their way.
But I think that's the point. Is we're on the road in our modified cars. Essentially, what they're envisioning is we're in their way. You go down a road with speed bumps on in your lower car and you have to slow down and crawl over them. Mrs. Brown from down the road with a ugly Nissan Juke doesn't have to slow down because she can just plow over them because she's in a crossover.
But actually,
we're getting in her way.
No, but we're not getting in her way. We are driving in the manner determined by the road. She is actually putting people at danger by hitting a lumpy bit of road at pace, which, if she doesn't have a tight enough hold on the steering wheel, could make her veer off into a pedestrian. She is being the irresponsible one.
She is, but it's because she perceives us to be the problem. I've had people in crossovers try and overtake me on speed bumps before and nearly take us both out when they suddenly realised that I wasn't pulling over, I was just going slow. But I would like to mention and kind of do, I guess, a bit of a plug here. I'm actually quite invested in this topic. There is a documentary series coming out soon that I will be episode 1 of.
Okay.
All about the perceptions of the car community. It started out as a project by somebody I know who came to Santa Pod with us at one point, actually did some photography. And it's going to be his uni project of, he was doing film and he had to make this documentary and this is what he chose to do. COVID ruined all of that and he's kept it on in his own personal thing. So he's now going to make it a series, and mine's the first one. And we covered all of this stuff. And when it comes out, it'll be, I'll give you guys a link and everything. But as far as I'm concerned, there's so much to discuss. And if you watch this episode of the thing, you will see that I'm quite disparaging of the car community, which is surprising given that the whole idea is to be an ambassador for it. But the way I look at it is this: as Matt says, we're in people's way. And as I say, you can't be indoors. You're always going to be in somebody's way doing this hobby. What you've got to be is responsible, and you've got to understand, we collectively have got to understand that we are in the way and people's perception of us is going to be bad. So just have some decorum. Don't be revving on the road with your stupid pop and bang map because everybody else around you doesn't get it. And I think that's the most important thing. You have got to understand that nobody else gets it. And if you still go, that's fine, I want to make a load of noise. I don't have any problem with that, really, because that's your decision. As long as you've thought about it and gone, no, I don't care, that's kind of okay. But just trying to be respectful of the people around you and thinking about them, I think is what's important.
I agree. And I think a way of getting rid of the whole boy racer image, I think that's a part of the problem where the stigma behind modified cars and that comes from, is just to be respectful of others. So, for example, me and Bryn on the way to Santa Pod one day saw a guy broken down on the side of the road. He'd already made the call to whatever recovery company he was, but he was on a dual carriageway in the middle of rush hour. It was like, 7:30, something like that. Both of us had the same thought. We pulled over to the side of the road. We helped him push his car onto the grass verge because that's what he was trying to do, so that he was off the dual carriageway and out of the way of the traffic. He said, thank you very much. We said, thank you. And we carried on our way. And what that means is he's going to look around, turn around and go, they were both driving modified cars. They're obviously okay. And if you get that mindset into everybody, then the whole vision of how they view the car culture is going to change.
Yeah, but you're never going to get that because
no,
there are people out there in this world who are determined to stop anybody having fun if it's not their kind of fun. And this is where, this is the logic that I come back at, whenever people go, oh, we're going to cancel Milton. And I just go, no, you're not, because I don't give a shit. Right? And I don't know why I just did in that way either. An unusual thing. I don't give a fucking shit, right? Milton does his thing. Milton enjoys it. Milton knows he's sometimes being a little knobhead, right? But it's Milton, and I love him. And for someone to turn around to me and go, oh, Milton said that, you can't, or Milton did that at an event, and it was naughty, it was very naughty Milton, I'll just go, well, yeah, I knew that he behaves like that when I started giving him shit for free.
Now we're almost getting onto another topic, and I think Ricky I think it was Ricky Gervais said something along the lines of, you're entitled to have your own opinion, but I don't have to give a shit about it.
Yeah.
It was something like that. It floated around Facebook for a while, and I'm probably misinterpreting, but And I think Stephen Fry said something similar. And somebody can go and have an opinion, and they can go and get offended about it. But that's fine. Go and get offended. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's different if 1 in 10 people get offended, it's not an issue. That's you're in a minority. If 9 in 10 people get offended, then it might be a problem.
Do you know
might be.
Do you know what? My viewpoint on it is this, right? If you are offended by my 2.5 ton of metal that is loud, that probably says more about you than it does about me.
Sure, but on the flip side of that, right?
Like, I'll be conscientious when I drive it, and Matt knows 9 days out of 10, I am conscientious when I take the stage gear out. Unless there's been a pandemic and I'm very, very bored and we're commuting to work.
The other thing though is the car. One of the other things is we get as car enthusiasts, we get lumped under one umbrella. And for example, when we're driving through residential areas, especially, we're driving very civil at speed limit, not driving down whatever road it is at 30 miles an hour in first gear, hitting the limiter. And it's other people that give us a bad name. For example, you had an Audi drive down your road today. Your road's 100 yards long, and he blasted down there at full tilt for no reason at all, and even that pissed you off.
But the thing that most pisses me off about that is that's not a modified Audi.
No, but most people won't remember it because it's not modified. It doesn't draw the same kind of attention.
Yeah, and modified cars are unique. If you did that in your Stagia, it's pretty damn unique, and people will be able to
really interesting,
point it out again.
Really interesting thing. So one of the local villages, if I drive through that village at 20 mile an hour in a 30 in the Stagia, I can guarantee once in every 2 times I drive through the village, on the village Facebook group, there will be a message. The modified car was speeding through the village again. It wasn't speeding through the village. It's just loud, Karen. Grow up. What was speeding through the village was the car that overtook me doing about 40 mile an hour in your 30, and it was a Nissan Qashqai being driven by an old lady.
But this is the thing. Modified cars are more memorable, and people just associate noise with speed.
Yeah.
So there's a loud car there. They just automatically assume it's speeding because it's modified as well.
Yeah, and as you say, like, people are entitled to their opinion. They're entitled to be wrong, and bollocks to them. I agree. The people who post on the Facebook group saying modified car speeding through the village, bollocks to them. However, some people don't help themselves because there's somebody not liking you and you disagreeing with them is fine, and there's some people being deliberately antagonistic. If you're going around a residential area, as one of my neighbours does, going on the pop and bang mat all the time, people live here. This dude works nights. He's coming home at 11 o'clock, banging down the street. Like, that's not okay, ever. Why do you need to be listening to your own exhaust on your street? You don't. Yeah. That's what all the fucking village road, like country roads around here are for. And by the same token, if you have a loud car and you work nights, kind of a dick move, but you drive it gently, nobody's going to mind. One of the things you see all the time is people saying, oh, my neighbours complained about my exhaust, so now I rev it louder. That's deliberately antagonistic.
That's the worst thing you could do.
Yeah, except that they don't like you and say bollocks to them. Don't then go and try and piss them off more. That's never going to achieve anything. That's just going to make everything worse.
What you do in that scenario, right, is you do what I've done to my neighbour.
Put a baffle in your exhaust, fam. That's what you fucking do.
No,
if I get up early in the morning, there is a baffle in my exhaust, and when I get to where I'm going, it comes the fuck out again, and then all the way home, I drive loud.
Actually, what I did find was they kept staring from their kitchen through into my kitchen, so I started walking around my kitchen naked.
Great.
I know it's quite antagonistic, but it has resolved the problem.
But it's kind of, this goes back to what we were saying is you've got to be respectful. So when I moved into my new place 3 or 4 months ago, and we met our neighbours for the first time, I was up front and said, look, we like cars. We've got modified cars. I will be working on my car in the garage. And I said to them, look, I've got power tools and that, and I will be respectful. I normally switch the power tools off by 8 or 9 o'clock at night. But I said to both of my direct neighbours, I can really, really easily lose track of time, and I could be still grinding something at 10, 11 o'clock at night. If I'm doing that, come and talk to me. I'm a reasonable person, and I may have just lost track of time. You go, oh yeah, it's 10 o'clock. Can you stop? It's like, oh yeah, no problem. I'll stop.
Yeah, we
talk to me, and it's not difficult to be nice to people.
Yeah, we had it when we got the house. Like, so the day we got the keys, I came in at 7 a.m. started prepping to rip up the tiled living room floor. Don't know why. But the worst bit is we have an open plan living room and kitchen. So note that I said the tiled living room floor, which means the kitchen was a totally different flooring material in an open plan room.
Yeah, that was
And also, weirdly, not tiles, I imagine.
Nope, lino.
Yeah, we've got lino in our kitchen.
So and this is the thing about using power tools late at night. So about 8 in the morning, we fired up the SDS drill, having pulled up all the lino in the kitchen, because we started at the sensible end, and we started mashing our way through. And by about 9 o'clock at night, we had 4 bits of floorboards left to lay. The neighbour came around and went, "My mum's trying to get to sleep. Can you stop?" So we stopped. And we just did the last 4 boards. It could have been really easy to just go, "Can we just finish the job, please?" Like, genuinely, I just want to sleep. But if I finish this job, then I've not got to do it tomorrow. Just went to bed. In fact, we didn't go to bed. We got pizzas and beers and sat in the garden. But nonetheless, the job got finished the next day. And the same can be said when you're working on your car. You've got to be respectful of your neighbours. You know, if when you guys were around the house, if the neighbours had needed to get off their drive, we'd have just had to move the cars. Simple fact. But the other side of that is we shouldn't have to always be the thing making the accommodation, to my mind. I think the onus is on people, especially in this day and age, to not just judge things. Yeah. There is, woke culture dictates that we shouldn't just judge people because they are how they are. And yet it's somehow still acceptable to go, he's a bad person because he drives race cars.
I think you're right, and I think it is a two-way street. If it gets to a point where I need to do some last-minute repairs to the RX-7 before a drift event or a drift competition the next day, and I'm still working at 11 o'clock at night, and they come round and say, it's late, can you start? And I'm like, not really. I need to get this car done for the competition tomorrow. It'll just be this one night. If they're accommodating, then that's fine. But if you're that person that's started your car at 6 a.m. and the neighbours have complained that you've got a loud exhaust and then started revving it more, they will not be accommodating.
No.
So that one time that you need to make noise late at night, they will not be accommodating for you, and they will make complaints.
And actually, most of my neighbours are super cool about the cars. There's just I've got this one problem neighbour, but that is what it is. But the other side of it, and the thing that does really annoy me is, so one of the local places to go and meet for me is Tesco in Longton in Stoke. All right, Tesco in Longton in Stoke is basically on a retail estate. There's Tesco. There's the main A50, this side of Tesco.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Where we go and fill up with Momentum all the time and go for Macca's every now and again.
Yeah, it's across the road from it. There's a big Tesco and then there's another retail park right next to it.
So to me, that is a sensible place for people to go and meet. It's central, but not in the middle of a housing estate, right? I can get it if the Tesco that they're all meeting at is in the middle of your housing estate. I get it. But people will still go, and I've heard this. I know someone in Stoke who's put a noise complaint in about the event because they saw a car driving down the A50. They didn't even see where it went to, and they called the police and said they're being loud down at the Tesco. That's not cool. That's not okay.
No, bollocks.
But I think the flip side of this is it all depends on how the police respond to that. Now, I've seen this before where they'll be at a car meet and somebody will call the police and the police will turn up, and what they'll do is they'll turn up and they'll go, right, you're all insured. We can see you're not making any noise. Just keep it that way. You're absolutely fine.
But then there's the extension of that element.
But there's other people that it doesn't help. So I think this is a wider problem than just car people as a whole. Is people at the car meet will see the police coming towards them and then instantly hate them for no reason at all. And I don't understand why there's this hatred for the police, because they are out to help. And it's subjective, because some are more helpful than others, and that's a whole different topic. But some people will just be immediately against them and push back before they've even done anything to help you.
I'm actually going to be pretty vocal about this one. My dislike and distrust that I have for the police isn't necessarily about the police, it's about the justice system as a whole. Okay, so, and this comes back to my head injury that we've talked about a couple of times on the episode. So I was on my way home from a night out, and someone very kindly put a metal bar into my head and nearly killed me. I had a bleed on my temporal lobe. I was pissing blood into my throat, and got told when I came around at the hospital, if the ambulance had got to me 5 minutes later, I'd have been dead. Fact. Done. The guy who did that got 12-month probation, 24 hours community service, and a £200 compensation order. Right? Didn't even do any time for nearly killing someone. Right? And in fact, and the really annoying thing is, I have paid £100 to go on a speeding course once. Yeah? Because I went 4 miles an hour over the speed limit. I didn't nearly kill someone, and I effectively got half the punishment that he got for nearly murdering someone. And I have a dislike and a distrust of the police because, quite frankly, there are far more serious crimes than that they should be attending than turning up to a meet and going, your car's a little bit loud, mate.
So my point here is I'm not going to try and argue your point. You've got your opinion. Yeah. You're perfectly entitled to the opinion, and I'm not going to try and change that. There's two sides to this. One is that's the justice system that's done you wrong there. That's not the police. Side B is the police went out and caught whoever hit you over the head with a bar.
That's because they were told exactly which house they'd come out of.
Yeah, and what they could have done is gone, nah, I'm not bothered. I'm not going to go and look that up. But they still went out and did it. And they caught the person and they put them in, I was going to say put them in jail, but they didn't really. But that's a failure of the justice system and that side of things. They're two separate things. But that's just my opinion.
No, and I'm willing to accept that to a certain level. You know, there's some, and this is not to do wrong to all coppers out there. There are some good coppers out there.
Yeah, and this is my point. Quite often they will turn up and they will go, right, you're not doing anything wrong. We've just had some reports. And they're just doing their job to turn up and see what's going on, because they might turn up and there are people doing donuts around crowds and stupid shit like that. And that's when they have to send you home and start arresting people for doing stupid shit. But that stupid shit is what gives the car culture a bad name.
And I think the other thing that pisses me off about it is, and actually, I think, you know, what everybody will realise is this conversation, there's a jump very early in this episode where we've cut out a load of stuff that we talked about that was slightly less interesting than this to keep this down to a manageable length. But for me, the thing that makes it, there becomes a point where something goes from being, it's just the police doing their jobs, to actually the law is upholding something that's somewhat discriminatory. And that is the Section 59. The Section 59 has a really interesting piece within UK law, right? And that is that you cannot contest that you have no right to defend yourself against a Section 59, and the police have no requirement to provide evidence. It is literally a ticket for, we can't find anything wrong, but we're going to punish you anyway. And it is used like that in some cases. Now, the interesting side of that is then, if they then stop you a second time, it doesn't matter what car you're driving, it's on the driver, not the vehicle, for those of you who've always been confused about that.
Yeah.
So any car you're driving, they turn around and go, well, we would give you a Section 59 now, but you've already got one, so we're going to just take it and crush it.
Okay.
That is the point at which, and because there's no right to defend against it, and there's no requirement for evidence, that is the point where it goes from being a reasonable thing. If they were to say, we have evidence that you did this, we're going to give you a fine, and if you do that again, we're going to take your car, you have a right to defend yourself in a court of law, as with every other...
Literally every other punishment.
Yeah, exactly. Then I would be fine with that. You can do that with speeding, in fact. You can turn around and go, I wasn't driving, someone else was driving. You can't do that with a Section 59. And that is, in fact, the reason why I view it as quite a discriminatory thing.
Okay, so let's think about this then, right? So what Bam has just been doing for the last hour of minutes, this is playing devil's advocate, the point is valid, okay? You have just been telling us all the reasons why you have a problem with the justice system and the police, right?
Yep.
This is what you've said you don't like. Why is that? It's because you've had bad experiences. So you have now tarred the justice system and the police with a brush because of the experiences you've had.
Yep.
Okay. Now, you have also said, like, you're not particularly interested in pandering to these other people because they shouldn't be offended. But then you've just said, I've had these bad experiences and therefore I don't like them.
But
So
I'm a hypocrite, Brent.
that is completely hypocritical, which is why my opinion is that if you are of the right mindset as a car person, what you need to be trying to do is be an ambassador. No, I shouldn't have to apologize to my neighbors. I shouldn't have to maybe, put the bung in my exhaust or whatever because I should just live my life, blah, 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 blah. But because everybody gets tarred with this brush, I have taken it upon myself to try and give a better image. Because that's the only way that you reverse these kind of stereotypes. The only way that you will stop hating the justice system and the police is if you experience enough good examples to go, oh shit, this is balanced. So you've got to do that yourself as well.
Yeah.
In my opinion, we've all got to be trying to give people these good experiences to offset the bad ones that we know are out there.
And that's a very, very good point, because you have one, and it's a similar thing when you have a bad relationship with someone. You tar all relationships with the same brush. So in this case, Bam's had a bad relationship with the police and the justice system, so you've tarred everyone with the same brush because that's what your experience is. And in a similar way, somebody will have had a bad experience with a loud modified car speeding through their village, so they've tarred every modified car in the same brush. And that's the point we're trying to make is, like Bryn says, you've got to be an ambassador, you've got to be respectful, and you've got to try and give those good experiences to try and untarnish that brush.
So I probably, and I do, like if someone on the street's got a problem with their car and I can hear it from my office, I'm well renowned for grabbing my toolkit that lives in the house and running down and helping them work on their car. So it's not to say that I don't do that. Where... and I'll do that on a personal level with people. But where my real problem lies with the whole thing, there's a couple of things. The Section 59, which is fundamentally a discriminatory piece of legislation, and then there's the other piece, which is really interesting, and recently we've mentioned it actually, which is these injunctions. You cannot gather with other people like yourself who are like cars. And the only reason those injunctions are legal is because us being petrol heads isn't a protected trait. If you replace petrol head with everybody who is Muslim cannot gather in this area, or everybody who is of a white birth origin can't gather in this area, everybody who is Jewish can't gather in this area, you change the point and you suddenly go, that's really discriminatory. And to say that, and I measure law and its fairness by the standard of, if I change the word, is it still discriminatory? Yeah. So on that note, you cannot do this because X, you are X, you like X. Yeah, that is a discriminatory law.
Swap in another term. So it's a good point, because and this goes back to what I was saying, was people having bad experiences with with cars. So it all gets tarnished with the same brush. But it's also not socially acceptable. So, for example, the majority of the country likes football. And quite often when, like, whatever football league is on at the moment that I can't remember, there's a world competition of something, people will gather together and go out drinking and make an absolute shit ton of noise and an absolute mess. And then the council has to spend the next day cleaning the place.
Yep.
That's absolutely fine. But if the government was to put in the equivalent injunction against footballers or football fans gathering in a place like they have done with cars, there would be an absolute uproar from more people who like football than agree with the injunction. And I think that's part of the problem. We are essentially a minority of people who like cars because they put that injunction in, and obviously all in-car enthusiasts went up in arms because they didn't like it, but there were more people that agreed with it than didn't.
Mm-hmm. So that's what you've got to question here. Obviously, Bam, I agree with you. I think
I completely agree as well.
And the injunctions are completely ridiculous. What you've got to ask yourself though is why did they do that? Why did they go to the length of writing something that is obviously so discriminatory? Because they perceived this to be a big enough problem that they were willing to take that step.
No, and again, willing to accept that. I think the really interesting thing is when they were planning to do the review, actually it was during the podcasts because I got really excited about it because I wrote in relation to the Birmingham injunction, effectively stating I think it's either Section 11 or Section 13 of the Human Rights Act. I can't remember which one it is, which states you have the right to gather essentially. It's a basic human right that's protected in English and international law, in fact. So I made the argument...
from in the last 12 months or so.
Well, yeah. But so I made the argument from that point. And actually I got a response from one of the legal team that was looking at the review that said, we've never seen it argued in this way before. Can you give us some more detail? So I built upon that. So... you have to have the legal right to defend yourself. So what I actually did was argue against the injunction and the application of Section 59s to enforce the injunction. So you have the basic human right to be able to defend yourself in a court of law. You have the basic human right of assembly. And I made those arguments to them. And I think, Bryn, to your point about being an ambassador for the community, there's this part where you've got to be the ambassador and you've got to be the friendly face of the car scene. Yeah? But there's another part of that, being an ambassador. Ambassadors, and Matt will know this because Matt's gone through the sales training that I give people, right? You've got multiple classes of salespeople, and if anyone's ever interviewing and has an interview with me, I'm about to give you a secret answer to an interview, right? There's four real key types of salespeople. You've got a relationship builder, you've got a lone wolf who just goes and does whatever they want. You've got a hard worker who just grafts all day, every day. And then you've got a challenger, right? Now, actually, you sit there and you go, the challenger is the person who's willing to tell someone they're wrong about something. The challenger has a success rate in sales that is nearly double the next nearest contender. And it's because they will apply everything that everybody else has to do. They'll work hard. They'll build that relationship with someone. The crucial thing is they build that relationship with someone where they can go, you're wrong, and this is why you're wrong, and these are the reasons you're wrong. And I think the real thing, it's not that the car community needs to be an ambassador, Bryn. The car community needs to educate itself, right? There is a certain level within the car community that just goes, well, it's shit, I don't like it, I'm going to write a petition and I'm going to tell them it's shit. Don't just go, it's shit. Tell them why it's shit. Give them the reasons. Challenge that in a basis of law. I've given, on multiple occasions, we've said this basis around the Human Rights Act. Go read your stuff up. You can have a conversation with a copper about it. They find it quite interesting when you make the argument. Because they suddenly go, I've not really got a leg to stand on. I've had a copper turn around to me and go, yeah, fair enough. And I was passing the attitude test when I started the conversation. It was just like, I'm just curious how you can justify Section 59 under this part of the law.
But this goes back to my point of what attitude you have.
Yeah.
Because a copper turns up to talk to you. If you talk to them as a human being and be respectful and have the right attitude, they'll be absolutely fine with you. If they pulled you over for something minor and they only want to talk to you and you come up with a big attitude and all the rest, giving it all this, they'll just slap a Section 59 on you.
Yeah, and certainly, as much as I dislike and distrust the police because of my own personal experience, they are human beings, and I will never turn around and go, "Oh, you fucking pig, oh, fucking bacon," like some people do, because that's not the way you treat another human being. Fundamentally, you've got to understand that they're people. They are just people doing their jobs, and I accept that they are just people doing their jobs, and they're all different. Bryn looks like he's having a brain thought, either that or he's about to poo himself.
Yeah.
I think he's about to fall asleep.
No, just thinking.
For 100th episode, this got real deep, real quick.
I know.
That's good.
It's been good though. I think this is a conversation that needs to be had more often.
And what? Because Bam, you said the car scene doesn't need ambassadors; it needs people like that. That I would disagree. I'd say you need both for the right situation, which is exactly what Matt just said. You need somebody like I don't give a shit about how the law works. I don't know any of that stuff, and also that wouldn't work for me. If I get pulled over, I am going to go in with a friendly face because that's what you shouldn't. Somebody pulls you over because your car was a bit loud. The first thing you shouldn't do is start trying to quote the law back at them. That's a bad idea. Unless you are being genuinely wronged, which I agree with. You need people who are going to fight your case because things like the injunctions are wrong. You don't need everybody to be doing that. That can cause its own whole raft of problems. If everybody is trying to do that, you're going to cause more animosity. You need somebody who does it the right way at the right time.
I suppose that's a valid point. The other side of that is when a copper walks along the side of my car, if he's pulled me over, the first thing I do not do is go, this section of the Human Rights Act is written down here. If you'd kindly bugger off, sir. Thank you very kindly.
People
if you get pulled over,
that stuff. People
if you get pulled over in America,
actually, no. What happens when I get pulled over in America is I get out of the car to go and be really friendly to the copper, and he points a fucking gun at me. This is a genuine thing that happened in LA. So I was being a bit of an idiot, but I was also 18 and an idiot. I did a racing start in my Jeep Wrangler at a set of traffic lights, got pulled over for it because I didn't spot the police car that was 3 cars back. Got pulled over for it, and first time I've been stopped in LA.
Any British person as well.
Yeah, first time I've been stopped in LA. Unbuckled my seat belt, hopped out of the car. Hi, officer. Get back in the vehicle, sir. Okay, it's cool. Okay, back in the car. And then he writes me a ticket. Not for the racing start, for not having my fucking seatbelt on. So first of all,
I don't think that's helped your perception on police either.
No, but that's American police, and
and that's a whole can of worms.
In defense of every other part of America, that is LAPD, who have a very specific reputation that is 50% justly founded, actually. In the UK, no copper is just going to tase you in your driver's seat for their own entertainment, because they've all got to wear body cameras to start with, so the footage is going to be there. But the other element of that is, if you're polite and civil with a copper, you're doing the best possible thing you can for yourself in that situation. Because they have multiple options. They can be lenient, and they are more likely to be lenient if you are not a complete and utter bellend to them. You should always
this goes back to what I was saying earlier when I met my new neighbours. Is be reasonable, and they will be reasonable back to you.
Yeah,
they're human beings, and just treat them as such.
But I think that's the thing, right? You've got to be reasonable. And Bryn's point about being an ambassador is Bryn's brain, and part of the reason my brain is wired over that legal information is actually I spent, because of my Asperger's, one of my Aspergic obsessions before cars was politics and how you build the best world for people. And out of that stems this innate knowledge of the Human Rights Act that I've picked up over a fairly sizable period of time of researching the matter. Not everybody is like me. I really hope you're not all like me, because otherwise we're probably all fucked. You know, and Brinsway works. If you're not minded to know the letter of the law and understand the implications of that, don't step into that ring, because you'll get something wrong and they'll discount the case because you got something wrong. This is not legal advice. This is not. If you're interested in the legalities around Section 59s and injunctions and potential ways to fight that for your local car community, my advice is spend a lot of time reading the Human Rights Act.
Yeah, that's the thing with going into law and courts and all of that stuff, is you have to know your shit to the letter. Otherwise, you get something wrong, it just gets chucked out because you're wrong.
Yeah,
that's how it works. You don't get second chances.
And the reason that communication line happened around the Birmingham injunction with me is because I wrote a very well-worded letter that was equivalent to 2 sides of A4 just on the right to assemble. And why
if I'd written that, they wouldn't have entertained it.
The other advantage I've got is I'm a professional salesperson. I'm quite used to selling people on my concepts. Yeah. So,
but going back to what you said about the right attitude with the police and stuff, and I think you have to combine all of the things that we've been talking about all night with this. Is not only have you got your neighbours that have tarnished us and modified cars with that brush, the police have seen that as well. So when they get called out when somebody makes a noise complaint about a modified car, they have to go and see it. If they only see bad attitudes, they're going to treat every modified car in exactly the same way and expect that bad attitude. But if they have enough good experiences, the police will more often than not side with the modified car community because they only have good experiences. So then they'll also know that if they genuinely come across a dick being a dick, they know it's a dick, not a car person.
So I'm gonna ask you to do what my version of the discrimination test on the sentence you just said, Matt. Pick any word you want that is a racial or religious trait, and replace car person in that sentence, and what happens to the police officer who behaves in that way with that person of that cultural background. What happens to that police officer?
I'm trying to remember the point I was trying to make.
They have a bad experience with car people, so they treat all car people the same, and they are more likely to prosecute car people. That was the essential.
I wasn't talking about prosecution.
Okay, no, but so they have a bad experience with car people, so they will always go and investigate car people, even just that line.
Yeah.
Now, bearing in mind what I said before about my discrimination test, if you run that now. Yeah, and I'm being very careful what I say because some clever little bugger will take a sound bite of it, and then we've got a whole different problem.
So if you take the same thing and put football fan in, for example, and like we were saying earlier, the odds are, and I'm not saying this is a guaranteed thing. The odds are the policeman attending will be a football fan as well.
Yep.
And they might be subconsciously, maybe not on purpose, a little bit more lenient with them because they are a football fan themselves. And this it's all one big full circle as you end up back where we were with us being discriminated against because we are the minority.
Yep. And
but we still have to actively do the right thing because otherwise, we are not going to get anywhere, and you're banging your head against a brick wall.
Anything. If you want people on your side, the right thing to do is not to fight them off straight away. very hard to get people to come around to your way of thinking if you're antagonistic and defensive straight away.
I think actually the good example of this is, I'm going to circle back to football again, was I think it was in Scotland. There was a big celebration, or Scotland were playing or whatever. And the next morning on the news was photos of Scottish people, and I know they were Scottish because they were all wearing kilts, out in the street with black bags, picking up the rubbish. And that's my point. There's no way in hell you're going to see English fans doing that. And what you've ended up seeing is a differentiation between Scottish football fans and English football fans. And you even see the English football fans getting the same treatment abroad because they do the same thing over there that they do over here. And that wouldn't happen if the Scottish football fans weren't always doing the right thing with the right attitude.
And you've got other elements of this. I think really, the real height of boy racer culture was probably the 80s, 90s, right? I think we can all accept that. The real
bit before Max Power, I think.
Yeah. But the real height of football hooliganism, which I promise you is far more dangerous than people tinkering with a little car, was also the 80s and 90s. And you certainly don't see the persecution of football supporters in the same way that a minority really ruined the reputation of their behaviour anymore.
But again, football fans aren't the minority.
So there you go.
I think that's what it. I think essentially that's what it boils down to. But we still have to have the right attitude to change people's minds. But the flip side of this is what I find a little bit ironic is certain people may complain about car enthusiasts, but the second they have something wrong with their car, you're the first person they'll call.
Yep.
What do you ever call a football fan about to help you with?
Smashing stuff.
Exactly.
What was that, Fred? Smashing stuff.
Yeah.
I think
that's ultimately one of the reasons that we like cars, and I think you see this trait in a lot of the good people who are in the car scene. Is if, like Bryn said this before, you see somebody broken down on the side of the road, we will stop and help them. All three of us have done this in the past, and that's one of the reasons that we like cars and we still stick at it. We may be the minority and we may be discriminated against from time to time, but all of us have something inside us that just wants to go and help people.
So that's the thing. If you want the car community to be taken more seriously, be an ambassador, as Bryn says. If you really, really if you live around an injunction area and you really want to get stuck into taking the injunction down, do your research, do your homework, right? I'm going to give you the free tip that the Human Rights Act is a bag full of magical tricks that we could all stand to learn about in day-to-day life anyway. But fundamentally, congratulations for watching to the end of episode 100. It got a bit deep there for a bit. It
went a bit long, but I think this is a very, very important topic.
By the time I've edited it down, it won't be that long.
To be fair, I think a lot of what we said needs to still be in it. And
I'm cutting out the bit right at the beginning of the episode where we kind of waffled for a bit, and then we got onto this topic, and it was hot stuff.
You can cut out my new car because I can announce that when I fixed it. I can do a whole separate thing for that.
I might announce
But what I've noticed is, and it's another episode where Milton's not here, and we've stayed very serious and on topic.
Yeah, we need more Milton just to be entertaining, I think.
It's the right topic to have when Milton's not around, to be fair.
Yeah, I'll give you that. He would probably just say, I've got a blue car like a police car, Nino. So there you go.
He'd turn around and go, explosion.
How do you
that's what he does.
How do you fix the problem? Explosion.
Yeah. Just blow up Birmingham. There's no more injunction then.
I mean, thanks for getting us all on some sort of government watch list, Matthew. That's
fine. I'm not doing anything illegal.
Apart from plotting to blow up Birmingham, we all heard it here. Right. So anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. We have a whiteboard which is just off camera, just about there. full of ideas for interesting stuff to talk about. Next week, I'm going to be away at Modified Nationals filming a video and doing a podcast without the boys. They will all be replaced by car girls.
Yeah, week off.
I'm the hot one.
Yeah, it's the mullet.
Don't forget your Daisy Dukes, Bryn. And
Nightmares for me.
and we're going to do the Birmingham Wheels video this week. I promise I'm going to edit that before this comes out. Auto Bright unboxing is probably going to be Friday this week, so loads of stuff coming out. And if you were at KD Car Mods on Sunday and it wasn't raining and I wasn't stuck in the house editing, it was nice to see you. Thanks a lot for watching. Have an awesome week. We will drop a couple of videos for you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We are now at 233 subscribers. And this is the bit that might excite Bryn. We're on video 99, as I've said. And so far, 10,877 people have watched our videos.
It's a lot of
Jesus.
people.
What's wrong with you all?
Why do you keep watching us ramble every Monday night?
So just want to say thanks to everybody that's watching. But what that does mean is, like, a lot of you are not subscribed yet. And if you subscribe, we can do really interesting things. We can get a little bit more money into the channel. If you don't want to subscribe, but you want to support the channel, there's links down in the description to some cool merch from Bryn and the Rad Boys. And some slightly less cool merch from me and the Violent Running crew. But we do have a cat that's staring at a naked anime lady as a sticker, so, you know, it's a good place.
It's a cool sticker. It's on Nicole's master too. My mum gave her an interesting look when she saw that.
What I love about that sticker, right, is nobody notices what it is until they get up close. They're just like, oh, it's a kitty. In fact, it's on an Adam C episode. He spotted it on a car, and you can see go, oh, look at the kitty. What is Kitty looking at?
That's why I like it.
So there's loads of cool stuff like that. Little Yuri. We are waiting for one component to arrive, and that's the little labels with the mascot on. And then I'll be able to build some and get them up on the website. They're going to sell quickly. We have already sold out on pre-orders of the ones in the ETC card reader cases, so there's only going to be the simple case available when they publicly go live. Some people reached out and were willing to help fund the project, essentially. Yeah, that's everything from me. I've been Ben. That guy's been Bryn. That guy's been Matt. There's been no Milton because he's at a wedding. Is that a thing?
So. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, who invites Milton to a wedding when you only get 30 guests? We'll see you all next week. Thanks a lot for your time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.